Welcome back. I'm Mike Renner. He's Sam Monson. Today we're going to be talking about the top storylines to watch for the Detroit Lions heading into training camp. And the first one has to do with their first overall pick, Frank Ragnow. Are they going to be a more run-focused offense? After being one of the pass-heaviest teams in the NFL for seemingly Matt Stafford's entire career, now they have a top 10 ranked offensive line by us truly here at PFF going into this season. Can they be a little more balanced?
Yeah, I think this entire offseason for the Lions has screamed wanting to be run-focused, both sides of the ball, not just the offense, but the defense as well. Frank Ragnow, I think, is just one of the most obvious examples of that approach. I think they're getting lucky with Frank Ragnow because he will fix that run offense, the run blocking part of that, the road grader on the offensive line. He's the best graded center we've ever seen in college, but he's also a pass blocking phenom as well. He didn't give up a sack in his entire college career, gave up, I think, just 2 pressures last season, both of which came when playing guard, not center. So I think that's a huge thing. But this is a team that drafted a fullback. That's how intent they are in establishing the run game. LeGarrette Blount comes in, a fullback joins the team. This is a team that's planning on dominating on the ground.
Yeah, Matt Stafford's had some of the least run support of maybe any quarterback in NFL history over the course of his career. I don't think they've had a 100-yard rusher in how many games. With LeGarrette Blount, fullback, offensive lineman, it's pretty clear that they're going to try to get some balance. Now, will they? It's a different story. I think they will. I think they're equipped with that offensive line. Taylor Decker now back healthy, and like you mentioned, Frank Ragnow, we love him. I think he's ready to step in right away, be one of the best guards in the NFL. All of a sudden, you have some balance. You have Matthew Stafford finally getting a run game to help him out. This could be one of the best offenses in the NFL.
Well, I think a big part of it is that the Lions have been intentionally putting the ball in Matthew Stafford's hands. They've intentionally not really established that run game, I think, is a big part of that. They haven't necessarily had the horses to do it in the backfield, but I think a big part of it is not attempting to even do that. Now we're going to see what happens to Matthew Stafford if he does have that run support. Does it actually elevate his play any, or is he still going to be the same guy? The ball is just out of his hands more.
That is the big question, and we'll have to find out come training camp, come week 1. On to the second biggest thing that we're going to be looking for, and it's the defense, and specifically Jarrad Davis, their first-round pick from a season ago. Is he going to be a playmaker in that front seven that's just been bereft of playmakers for a while now? And in Matt Patricia's defense, does he become their sort of Swiss Army knife in the middle, or is he the guy who looked lost in coverage for much of the first half of his rookie season?
He did, and I think that was a big concern. His PFF grade wasn't good, but he finished the season extremely strongly. Had a 6-game stretch where all his best graded games were. I think this new defensive system will play to his strengths. It's asking him to do an awful lot less in terms of pure man coverage, which is where he was exposed. It's going to put him in a more advantageous position to succeed within the defense and just make plays, the stuff that he should be good at doing.
Yeah, I think he will take a big step in year 2, because he even took a big step, like I mentioned, from the first half of his rookie season to the second half, looked far more comfortable in the middle of that defense, and he should be. He has the explosiveness to be able to rush the passer as well as drop into coverage and be a playmaker in that defense. Like I mentioned, that front seven just does not have the playmakers right now, which actually leads into our third thing to look for, and it's where does the pass rush come from? Because Anthony Zettel had a fantastic breakout season last year. They have Ziggy Ansah on the other side, who's been good, not great, but the interior of that defensive line just has really no one at the moment who can push the pocket.
No interior pass rush presence at all. Ziggy Ansah is good, but he's no better than good. His career PFF grades have hovered right around the 80 mark the entire time. Zettel and Ansah combined for 80 total pressures last season, which is a decent number, but that's the same amount of pressure that Von Miller managed on his own. So, they can get some pressure, but not enough. Those two people are not capable of being the entirety of your pass rush, which at the moment it looks like they are for the Lions. They need to find some kind of supplementary source of pressure if they're really able to get after the quarterback.
That is the thing. Is it someone like Deshaun Hand? Does A'Shawn Robinson take a step forward? Because they're going to need someone to do it. You can't just rely on those two because, like you mentioned, while they're good, these aren't high-level pass rushers. They're just solid players, which if you can rely on that. If you have 4 guys across your front, you can make a good pass rush out of that, but they don't really have that at the moment. I think the answer could be someone like Jarrad Davis, blitzing him more because he's fantastic at that, utilizing their linebackers. A lot of what they do with Matt Patricia did in New England, utilizing those guys as blitzers could help them out there.
And Matt Patricia's schemes have also been systems that don't rely on edge rushers getting after the quarterback heavily. They played contain more. They've picked up the pressure that gets to them, but they scheme up pressure with linebacker blitzes and with other things.
on to the positional battle that we're going to be watching heading into training camp, and it starts at the running back position where they drafted Kerryon Johnson in the second round this year out of Auburn. They have Ameer Abdullah there. They have Theo Riddick there, and oh yeah, they signed LeGarrette Blount this offseason as well. So a crowded backfield. How do you see it shaking out?
And this pattern of establishing the powerful ground game back again, and you can't see it any better than LeGarrette Blount. You call up his stats in PFF premium stats that you can get as part of your elite package. Look at this, 3.6 yards per carry last season after contact. This guy is just a machine that will run you over and gain yards after contact. That's something none of those other backs that have been in Detroit for the past few years have been able to do. I don't know if it's what Kerryon Johnson can do either, but Blount is the guy that can take the hammer to defenses and really establish that powerful ground game and let those other guys be more of that scat back, the receiving option on third downs.
Yeah, LeGarrette Blount as a one-trick pony, a guy who's going to take handoffs from under center. There aren't too many more backs in this league better at it than what he does. He brings a lot to the table in that regard, but as a receiving option, he's just not even going to be on the field. You're not even going to throw him the ball if you're trying to pass. So from that perspective, Kerryon Johnson offers more, but Kerryon Johnson is very similar to Ameer Abdullah and Theo Riddick in that regard, to where all three of those guys can catch the ball really well out of the backfield. All three of those guys can line up and run routes from the slot. So I think if you invest in a second-round pick, you're probably going to put Kerryon Johnson at the top of that depth chart, but you also had a second-round pick on Ameer Abdullah. This is a backfield where you've invested a lot in a handful of these guys. I'm not sure how it's going to end up shaking out with them.
And yet the best receiver of all of them is Theo Riddick.
Yeah.
So, Ameer Abdullah, or Kerryon Johnson's trick might have to be to prove that he can do a little bit of everything and be the guy that can be on the field in any sort of circumstance, become the jack-of-all-trades player. Let Blount be the specialist. Let Riddick be the receiving specialist and find a niche doing all of it.
They both work. There you have it. There's the Detroit Lions and what we'll be watching for come training camp. Make sure to go to PFF's YouTube channel to check out a preview of all 32 teams.